Are we ready?
Yeah.
Lovely. Chancellor Shivani here from LBC Radio. The US President last night announced 10% tariffs on UK goods. London's FTSE 100 dropped sharply this morning. How devastating will these tariffs be for the UK economy, and what reassurances can you provide, if any, to UK investors?
Well, we're working closely with our counterparts in the US to secure an economic agreement. That work continues. The Business Secretary has announced in Parliament today the launch of a call for evidence, asking businesses for how this will affect them and their business, so we can make sure that we respond in the correct way without escalating the situation further.
Chancellor, when it comes to tariffs, I mean, how pretty is the economic picture here in the UK after what's been announced? I mean, how would you sum it up?
Well, it's very early days, and the President announced the tariffs yesterday. They are a ceiling on the tariffs, and we are continuing to work with our US counterparts to secure an economic agreement to reduce those tariffs. Global trade is obviously incredibly important to the UK, and as we respond, we will always do that in the national interest, making sure that we do everything in our power to keep industry, to keep jobs here in Britain.
Peterborough's one of the fastest growing cities in the UK. What is it your government's doing to ensure that medical facilities such as doctors, dentists, etc. keep pace with that development? You've been obviously championing the fact that you've cut waiting lists, etc. in your first few months in office. But what are you going to do for the future, people of Peterborough?
Well, it's fantastic to be here with the local MP, Andrew Pakes, and also our mayoral candidate, Anna Smith, today at the local university, where we're training up the midwives who I met this morning, some of whom have come from the local colleges and others who are retraining later in their career. And that's possible because of the investment that this Labour government is putting into our health service, and as well as reductions for the last 5 months in the national waiting list. We've also seen reductions here in Peterborough. Andrew, do you want to say a bit about what's happening locally?
Yeah, I think I'd really like to pay tribute to Rachel and the government for guaranteeing the funding for our new community diagnostic centre. Residents can already see the hoardings up on Wellington Street. When that's open later in the year, that's going to give us 24/7, 7 days a week access to diagnostics, tests, blood tests, which firstly keeps people out of the hospital, but speeds up treatment. Alongside the new NHS emergency dental appointments, which are starting this month, the deal with pharmacists that have come on about, we're beginning to turn the corner. We've always said it will take a long time, but working with the government, the mayor and our mayoral candidate, and locally, we can begin to fix the NHS.
But you know the figures are all going up, all the waiting list figures are going up. Ambulance people, chiefs have told people not to wait for an ambulance to go to hospital, but to A&E, but to take themselves.
Well, I'm really proud that for the last 5 months we've seen waiting lists at Peterborough Hospital come down. This has always been a difficult challenge. The inheritance of this government has been incredibly difficult, but when people begin to see their appointments coming through quicker, the new building going up on Wellington Street, and the ability to speak to a GP or get an NHS dental appointment for their child, we begin to see the green shoots coming through.
And Chancellor, just one quick comment, if you don't mind. Your message to businesses in Peterborough are facing obviously the national insurance rise and also cost of the living wage rise as well. They're already struggling. They're not going to be creating the same number of jobs, so that impacts job seekers as well, doesn't it? Because they will not be able to find the work that they want.
Well, in Cambridgeshire and Peterborough, we are just launching this month a trailblazer to help people back to work. There are between 700 and 800,000 job vacancies in the economy, and yet we've got too many people trapped on benefits without the support to get back to work. And that's why we are helping skill people up to give businesses access to the skills that they need. But when I became Chancellor last year, there was a £22 billion black hole in the public finances. It did require difficult decisions, including asking the wealthiest to pay more in tax and asking businesses to pay more as well. But we've used that money to invest £25 billion in the National Health Service. It's brought down waiting lists now for 5 months in a row. And we've delivered in the first few months of this Labour government 2 million additional appointments. That wouldn't have been possible without the extra investment we've put in.
Chancellor, just back on those tariffs, presumably the UK government will be looking to try and negotiate a way out of them. But in the meantime, UK businesses are going to take a hit from this. Will you look at providing COVID-style loans or grants to some of these businesses that are really going to feel the hit in this?
We're working closely with the business community, businesses big and small across the UK. The Prime Minister has already hosted businesses in Downing Street earlier today, and the Business Secretary in Parliament just now has launched a call for evidence. We're listening to business. We know that they don't want us to react too quickly. They want to make sure that we do everything in our power to achieve an economic agreement with the United States, and that's what we're working flat out to achieve.
Okay, Chancellor, you've mentioned Cambridge a lot in your growth plans earlier this year. Further and faster is one of the phrases. How easy is it to make sure that growth comes further and faster in this region, considering the fact that some people are going to be struggling perhaps from this month?
Well, the Oxford-Cambridge Growth Corridor is a really important part of our plans to grow the British economy and make working people better off. It's why we are investing in new transport links, new reservoirs, new housing, new lab space. And I want that benefit to be felt right along that growth corridor, and I want it to be felt here in Peterborough so that more people can access good jobs paying decent wages. It's also why this month we've increased the national living wage and the national minimum wage. 3 million people across our country getting a pay rise of up to £1,400 a year, putting more money in the pockets of working people.
Okay, any particular challenge though related to that, Chancellor, trying to achieve what you've just said in this economic climate?
We are backing the Oxford-Cambridge Growth Corridor, putting investment into that train link because we recognise the advantage of having some of the best universities in the world here in Britain. But those cities, Oxford and Cambridge, are both struggling to expand, struggling to meet the demands of business. And so that's why we're investing in those transport, making it easier to build housing, to get Britain building again. And that's what we want to achieve, a faster growing economy to put more money into working people's pockets here in Cambridgeshire and Peterborough and across the country.
Thank you. Can I get one photo, please? Is that okay?
Yeah, sure.
Able to...